What is up, friends? Welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Football, Sis, fantasy football for the girls, by the girls. We are so geeked to come in and round up week 6 and dive headfirst into week number 7. And this was just one of those like incredibly messy fantasy football weeks, which is like,
so bad.
It happens every fucking year, but like it does not get any easier. I know like so many women in our league struggle to even break like the fucking 90 points. Me too. Like, didn't even get out of the fucking 90s.
I have been personally victimized by week 6 of fantasy football.
Same. Personally victimized by fantasy football and the massive just injuries and underperformers.
So bad.
So we're right there with you guys. If you're feeling our pain, if for some reason you got by this week with like, I scored 140, 50, 60 points, like,
yeah,
good
seriously.
for you. You avoided the freaking apocalypse of injuries and like good on you because of the rest of us are down bad. We're down bad.
Yeah. We're not doing good over on team almost didn't make 100 points over here.
I know. What was it? I was at the gym this morning, ironically, and it was like down bad crying at the gym. You know that Taylor Swift song? And I was like, how relevant is that right now? Because I was like, this is sad. It's a sad day. It's a sad day. But nonetheless, we got to focus for week 7. We're going to help you reclaim from a shitty week 6. And we're going to jump in with some highlights because we all need some dopamine uppers from the week. So we're going to start pretty typical here. We're going to go over play of the week, vets of the week, rookies of the week. We're going to do a quick little week 6 recap, talk injuries, and then of course dive into all of your sit starts for week number 7 and wrap it up with your favorite segment, sweet and spicy starts of the week, which we only about 50% of the time we get it fucking right, but that's why they're sweet and spicy. Okay, cool. Let's dive into the play of the week. Ange, what was your play of the week from week number 6?
My play of the week wasn't like this big, fabulous play, but it was Baker Mayfield basically pulling a Houdini act, right? Evading tackles. All of a sudden you think he's going down and he just like pops out. And then not only does he just get he doesn't get the ball off then, but he runs, right? And he just gets the first down. He is just that dude. He scraps it out. I think I love him because he's scrappy. I think we're from Youngstown, so we're like scrappy people, right? We work hard for what we want. He worked really hard for that and for the whole season. MVP. Calling it right now. MVP.
Did you see the video of like the most wholesome moment of Tez Johnson? So after Tez scored that touchdown, they were screaming MVP, right? And he's like, Sterling, hey, like he or said Shep or something, right? Like, hey, they're yelling MVP. I've done shit this year. What's that for? And they're like, dude, who threw the football? Fucking Baker. And he's like, oh, and like Emeka Puka, Chris Godwin are like losing their fucking shit because they're like,
it was so great. Yes.
And it was the cutest shit.
Has been there where you think like you're being talked to or someone's talking about you and you're like, oh shit, no, I'm not that good yet. So everyone related to poor Tez there, but I loved that too. It was very wholesome and very like relatable, for sure.
Also that homie, that could have been the play of the week. His freaking round off, back flip, front flip, twist shit. I was like, okay. And then landing like a pro gymnast. I was like, get some boy. I love to see it.
I wish I could just flip. Like you could just flip. Like you could just go right now and flip. But I couldn't do that because I'm sad. I can't even do a cartwheel.
Oh, I could flip it up. All right. My favorite play of the week was just honestly Jamar Chase being Jamar Chase. It's really fun to see him. Like he really struggled there. Obviously, Joe Burrow went out. Jake Browning was just not a quarterback. And obviously Joe Flacco had a little bit of hope for him. And he made the most insane one-arm catch, man-to-man coverage, facing a really good Green Bay defense. And we thought this game was going to be just a slaughterhouse.
Right.
And, Cincinnati held their own and he made a true diva wide receiver 1 catch and just was like, I'm that guy. I love plays like that when they come out and just make their own. And that's exactly what Jamar Chase did against the Green Bay Packers. And just really like, this is why we drafted him 101, right? And so it finally gives you hope that, there's the 100 curse and we're always worried about that player because, it happens. But maybe Jamar Chase isn't cursed. He just needed a slightly better upgrade from Jake Browning, which, let's not give Joe Flacco too much credit. He's just a slight upgrade, but he is better than what Jake Browning was doing nonetheless. Yes. So I love to see it. All right. How about your vet of the week, Ange? Who are we going with?
Vet of the week, again, because this was your vet of the week last week, is Rico Dowdle, because that revenge game narrative was very much alive in this game. And sometimes we talk about that, like, oh, revenge game. And then they don't really perform as great as we hoped they would. But he did. I mean, I didn't think that this man could get 200 plus yards again and more. Like 200, I think 34 was last week, 239 was this week. But monster week 6, monster week 5, amazing. And he had that amazing receiving touchdown. That play was awesome to watch. So it could have been a play of the week as well. And I thought this stat was really cool. He marked the most yards for scrimmage a player has posted against their former team ever. So, and I kind of like weird, obscure facts. Sometimes they drop them and I'm like, I want to be that statistician who finds those weird things. Well, I liked this one. So Rico Dowdle, we do not need to Rico doubt him.
No, we're not Rico doubting you, baby.
No, and I think Chuba should be a little bit scared. I don't think Dowdle's going anywhere.
Yeah. I think it's like a split decision here where like my head goes 2 places. Number one, they just paid Chuba. So like, what do? Like, do they just commit to Chuba, and are they maybe like almost like studying Rico out of like, look at what he can do, and then maybe potentially getting a trade for like offering trade and getting capital for him? Maybe. I mean, there's teams out there that need a good ass running back. However, if they decide to keep him, I'm not worried about Rico's production. Like, I think they're going to maybe split the backfield. And so like,
I think so too,
I'm not worried about him.
No,
I agree.
I agree.
And I agree with the rogue stats. Like this is the first time a wide receiver has scored 2 touchdowns on his 32nd birthday. Yeah. It's like the weirdest shit, and I love it.
It's my favorite. Like, they kept showing, one of the clips they kept showing was like, I think it was the Steeler game and the Browns game, like the Herbig and I think Dylan, maybe they played together in Hawaii or something, in high school football.
Yeah.
Why are we pulling that back? That's really as obscure as we need to get. But anyways,
I love it.
Let's move on. Who was your vet of the week?
My vet of the week was Bijan Robinson. He was just absolutely incredible coming into this game. And the best part, obviously, was when he had his 81-yard rushing touchdown. He singly, being so biased, the reason, now, honestly, he looked great, but one of the biggest reason he is my vet of the week is because he helped me win a league. I was 2% chance of winning. 2% chance of winning this league going into Monday Night Football. I had 2 players going, Khalil Shakir and Bijan Robinson. And I was like, listen, I need Bijan Robinson to play out of his mind. And I sat back and I'm like, whatever. Well, then he started to play out of his mind and I won by literally 2 points because Bijan Robinson is a freaking beast of a man and we love him. So vet of the week, move on to the rookie of the week.
My rookie of the week, we had a little bit of a debate on this. As to headed into week 7, but was Tet McMillan. He has been consistent throughout the season, but the one thing that we were missing that we wanted to see were those touchdowns. And that was like kind of the game this week that he broke him through. He had 2 touchdowns in week 6. I personally think that he is becoming that solid wide receiver 1, put him in your lineup kind of guy. That's my opinion. I'm pretty strong about it. Mana doesn't think so, especially for next week. Not all the time. Not for the rest of the season.
Yeah. I was going to say, it's not that I don't think for the rest of the season, because he is the wide receiver 1 on their team. He's just going to get the Sauce Gardner treatment. And we have watched what happens to every single wide receiver that goes up against him. They do nothing. So yeah, I agree though. I think he looked great, finally got in the end zone, which we were all kind of waiting for. And it finally actually happened, which is, if you're the Tet manager, you're very freaking excited for that. My rookie of the week was Jackson Dart. I was not hot on him walking into the week. I really was like, listen, give him another week before we make any decisions. Don't get me wrong. I stand by my decision to have waited. He had a great week. So if he was on your bench and you didn't play him, sorry about it. However, now you can at least feel a little bit more comfortable starting him because he did face a tough Eagles defense. He's walking into another tough matchup against the Denver Broncos. But man, homie is just having fun. Like that whole team, him, Theo Johnson, Cam Scattaboo, they are just out there. It just looks like they're playing and it almost feels like they're kids. Like they are just enjoying themselves and shooting their shot and having a good time. And it's fucking fun to see. And coming off of the Giants struggling so bad with Russell Wilson and walking into the gold mine of Jackson Dart playing, well, he's a rookie. He can still fuck up. We're going to give him some grace, but I love it. I love watching them play. It's been a good time so far.
And that's good. And one of my almost a play of the weeks when the ref has his hand up and Jackson Dart high fives the ref. And I'm like, oh no, something's going to happen. But it was all good. They let that one slide. They were like, you a rookie. Yeah, but it was it was cute. And I agree. It's like they're playing backyard football. They're just having a good time with their friends. I think that makes for a great team. That's why I think we talked about the Lions the one week. I feel that same way about them.
Yes.
Right?
Lions,
and I'm kind
Tampa
of feeling
Bay,
that
all of them.
Yes. Exactly.
Yep.
Tampa Bay was my next one. So
couldn't agree more.
Super excited about rookies this week.
I agree. All right. Well, let's roll back some week 6 fantasy roundup here. Obviously, it was a pretty shitty week for a lot of running backs. J.K. Dobbins, Javonte Williams, all of these guys who had been really consistent in the past. Breece Hall struggled this week, which again, I know that's hard to see happen, but like biggest advice to all the women out there is like, just like we can't ship it on a guy who has a really, really high point scoring week, we also can't completely like give up on these true RB1s on bat. They're going to happen. You're going to have top guys underperform. But we did have some really great running back performances. Obviously, we mentioned Bijan, Cam Scatterboom, baby.
Oh,
I mean,
my
that
God.
feisty little, okay, so this is, Angela will know this because we had a roommate when me and my husband first met. We moved in together. We had a roommate who lived in our basement for like several years. He lived with us even when we were married, okay? He was like, I call him like my first son. He's like my surrogate child because he was just like, leave pizza in the oven and then leave the house type of like
the
son.
butter.
I had to parent him. Yes, he left butter on a couch and it was like, there's my butter. Like think about Joey from Friends personified into a human being that lived with me, and I felt like I had to parent him to be an adult. Okay, he's married now. We love it. Okay, he's doing great. But he is like the epitome of Scam Scattaboo. Just like bulldog, unhinged, will do the craziest shit all the time. I love it. So Cam Scatterboom had a great week. Jonathan Taylor still looks amazing. Rico Dowdle, like we mentioned, look great. But the wide receiver there was like a bugaboo of the wide receivers that just like absolutely got destroyed. So many wide receiver ones went down this week and will be missing time. So if your team didn't suffer a wide receiver 1 injury, yay for you.
You're
Garrett
lucky.
Wilson.
Yeah,
I know.
Took down lesser women like me.
Marv, Puka, Egbuka.
That one hurt.
DJ
so hard.
Moore. He's not a wide receiver 1, but DJ Moore. Like
It
this
hurts.
was so many of them.
Yeah.
Regardless, though, there were some ball out wide receivers. Drake London looking like a freaking unit. JSN showing himself as a true wide receiver 1. And George Pickens, man, he has done great with CeeDee Lamb out. And like, yes, obviously CeeDee will take some targets away from him when he comes back, but ride the Pickens high. CeeDee might be back this week. We don't know, but ride the Pickens high for as long as you can. And personally, I'll still be playing him even when CeeDee Lamb is back. So
still very relevant, right?
Absolutely. You will listen to this podcast after waivers run. So obviously we release this on Thursday. Waivers are already out of the way. However, I want you to start to plan for week 8. Week 8 is when most of the teams have bye weeks. There are several bye weeks from now. There's been 2-3 teams for bye weeks. 3-2-2 has been what we've experienced so far. Well, there was like many moving into week number 8. We call it the bi-pocalypse. Okay. It's just like the apocalyptically, terribly difficult week where you're not only dealing with buys, but you're dealing with injuries. And there's probably like, at that point, you're like dropping players that you don't really want to fucking drop. We're going to talk more about that and get you prepared for that in our Patreon next week. So if you're not already a member there, probably a really good time to jump in there. And we'll talk about it on social media as well. But this might be a good time, specifically when you listen to this on Thursday, go back to your free agency and see if there's any guys still lingering around that could be worth picking up. Get ahead of the game. Pick them up now. That way you don't have to try to waiver claim them next week when the bi-pocalypse officially hits. Okay, just a little tidbit for all you ladies out there listening. All right, we're going to quickly run through some injury reports for you here just so you can understand what's happening. Garrett Wilson suffered hyperextended knee during the game. Keep your eye on him. Okay, Anthony Richardson's irrelevant. However, this is like the most like...
There were two obscure injuries, but go
on. On the Colts. I know.
Yes.
So this brought me back to like 2020 vibes. Like, remember when people were like having doors fall on them, trying to like work out on the back of their door jam and shit? Like, there were so many like injuries because no one could go to the gym. So Anthony Richardson was stretching with a resistance band, and it must have slipped off of his foot, and he broke his orbital bone. He has an orbital fracture, so he literally broke his eyeball. Like.
Yeah. I saw him come up on the injury report and I'm like, is he playing? What happened to Daniel Jones? And then I was like, what?
Broke his eyeball. So, that's giving 2020 vibes. But nonetheless, Marv Harrison went out concussion. They do have a week 8 bye. So I'm going to anticipate we don't see Marv until then. Emeka Buka hamstring injury. He's getting tested. We don't have updates there. Miles Sanders was placed on IR. That's relevant for Jaden Blue. We'll talk about him in sit starts. Bucky Irvin and Chris Godwin were already ruled out for week 7. So at least we know that ahead of time. We love a proactive coach. Mike Evans, we're monitoring for week number 7. We aren't sure just yet. QJ, Quentin Johnston, did not play in week 6. So just monitor him for week 7 as well. Fred Warner, we don't talk about the defense often. However, Fred Warner suffered a dislocated ankle. He's out for the year. This isn't a huge impact in the 49ers defense, though. So just keep that in mind, ladies. David Njoku suffered a knee injury during the game. He got his ass beat up in that game. So he's probably going to miss some time. Puka suffered an ankle injury that was very, very similar to CeeDee Lamb's.
Yeah.
So if we have any mirror here, he's probably going to miss very similar times to CeeDee Lamb. And I would imagine because they're in the hunt for the playoffs, they are probably going to, or they're in the Super Bowl hunt at this point. They're probably going to they can take a couple losses and they're going to sit Puka until after their bye, I would imagine. Christian Watson, Tavian Wicks, both for the Green Bay Packers, injury, not really worth mentioning too much about. Deebo Samuels did play week 6, but wasn't super productive. So I would just keep your eye on him. Same thing with Scary Terry. Is he coming back or not? We aren't sure. Ricky Dicky Pearsall, monitor for week number 7. Jawan Jennings got hurt again. Keep your eye on him. Brock Bowers is expected to miss week 7. Lamar Jackson, keep your eye on him, monitor. Kyler Murray is probably missing week 7, and we still don't know about Brock Purdy yet. So those are all the updates we got, injury reports thus far. We will keep you updated as the week goes on. But let's jump into week number 7. Sit starts. We're going to talk about every single matchup on every single side of the football. We're going to get into it, and I'm going to go ahead and kick us off. Right? I have the first game.
Nope, I do. I have Thursday night. Pittsburgh, Cincinnati.
Just going to go ahead and kick us off and lead into the first game.
I'm going to kick it off. Pittsburgh, Cincinnati. So a short turnaround here for Pittsburgh. On the Pittsburgh side, we're sitting Aaron Rodgers. Now, you might, if, and this is a big old if, you really are desperate for a quarterback, he might be a streaming option. I would definitely play someone like Darnold, Stafford, or Jackson Dart over Aaron Rodgers, but I would play Rodgers all day over Justin Fields, who looked abysmal.
Agreed.
Okay. DK Metcalf is an auto start. Really nothing there. Calvin Austin does not expect it to play Thursday, so he should be out. Now, that is a kind of a good thing for guys like Jaylen Warren and Kenneth Gainwell. So the absence there opens up more looks for Jaylen Warren. So Jaylen Warren is a definite start for me here. And then Kenneth Gainwell could be a sneaky start, right? So the Cincinnati defense is not great, right? So they could be allowing more passes with the rush game. So Kenneth Gainwell could be maybe a flex player, even in a deeper league.
Yeah, I wanted to look at too and see what his snap count was last week because
I didn't put that in there. Yeah.
No, I know. I wanted to see just to see what that. Now he only had 34% snap count. I don't think you're like totally off base there. I think my only question to like my brain goes to like I'd rather start a guy in like a true 50-50 split than right. So like I might go
like if you're really like, desperate for someone or
super
an injury,
but like I would go like boom. Bam night. Okay. Bam night over Gainwell. I'd probably go Carter over Gainwell too, but no, I don't disagree with you. Who else for the Steelers?
And Jonnu Smith, we're not even talking about him as a tight end there. I do want to bring up the amazingly large Darnell Washington, who is becoming a little bit more relevant. I cannot believe how big that man is. So it is just massive. I would not want to meet him on the street. As far as the Steelers defense, I think they have really good elite pass rush. TJ Watt is just relentless. So in this matchup, definitely starting the Steelers offense or defense. I'm sorry. On the Cincinnati side, you are sitting Joe Flacco. Really don't need to talk about there unless you are so desperate for a streaming option. He provides just a little bit of relevance there. Jamar Chase, auto start. All right, so moving into other wide receiver here, T. Higgins, I think is a startable player, but I think there are other wideouts that might be in the mix here. Guys like Jordan Addison, I would play over T. Higgins. Guys like Romeo Doubs, I would play over T. Higgins. Now, Jameson Williams over T. Higgins or Higgins over Williamson is kind of a good debate here. So I think if you were to start Williams over Higgins, it's a little bit risky, right? That he's kind of that boomer bust player. We saw some great things in week 6. Are we going to see it? So Higgins might be just a little bit more stable, a little bit more tried and true, right? But I would definitely play Higgins over guys like Josh Downs and Rashid Shaheed. Moving into running back, Chase Brown, I would say is lower ranked or going up against a lower ranked defense. So there is some kind of quality there as far as what he can do. They're a little bit shaky. He could surprise us. I think he's a deep league flex. He has some upside. I would play him over guys like Jordan Mason this week, over Kenneth Walker this week. I would probably play guys like Travis Etienne and Vidal. I don't know what his first name is. Is his first name Vidal?
Kamani
Vidal. Yeah, he burned me bad. So over Chase Brown this week in matchups. And then tight ends, there's really no one to mention. And then I am sitting the Cincinnati defense probably every week. Don't even think about them.
Absolutely. You would start Chase Brown over Kenneth Walker?
I would this week. I don't see the matchup for Kenneth Walker great this week. Okay. I would start him over him.
Fair,
I would.
Fair decision to make. I would definitely go the other way around.
Okay.
However, I would say like I would go Monty over Brown too. And I would probably go Brown over Pollard though, because Pollard's not really been doing anything either.
Yeah, so. I agree with that one.
Love it. Love it. All right. Moving into our next matchup, we have Rams versus Jacksonville. On the Rams side of the football, there are some no-brainers here. So Devontae Adams is an easy yes start. Puka's out this week, or most likely will be out. We're waiting for sure. Adams' target share is going to go up super duper high, so he's an easy start. And then another easy start, Kyren Williams. Again, Jags are good against the run, but you're not going to sit Kyren Williams, and you shouldn't sit Kyren Williams, so make sure he gets in your lineup. The other guys to like kind of consider, I think Matt Stafford is a good solid streaming option this week as a quarterback. He's been a consistent streaming option. I know he had a bad week last week. He is obviously very dependent on getting touchdowns, but this is a good matchup for the pass game. So Matt Stafford would be a good streaming quarterback. And then the other consideration is to look at, now this is going to be super duper rogue, but you've got two different wide receivers who could potentially make their way into the offense due to necessity with Puka out, Tutu Atwell and Jordan Whittington. Now, Tutu missed week 6, so we aren't sure of his availability for week 7, but I'm going to assume they're going to try to get him to play because he is a very deep threat type of player. Mm-hmm. So this would be a very viable option for them to have another consistent wide receiver. If Tutu's out, I love Jordan Whittington this week. Again, you probably missed him on waivers, but if for some reason Tutu's out there and they clear him for week 7, that'd be a great kind of free agency pickup that, yes, it'd be a very, very risky start, but could also pay off big time for you for sure. Blake Corum is unstartable. He's not getting enough of the target share, and the tight end for the Rams is not someone I'm considering at this point either. I think you have a bit more favorable, consistent options out there. Over on the Jacksonville side of the football, Trevor Lawrence is someone that we need to speak about a little bit. This is a fairly hard matchup for Lawrence, so it's not someone I'm excited to start. And I would be starting guys like Drake May, Dak Prescott, Caleb Williams, Bo Nix, Jordan Love, Daniel Jones, Matt Stafford, Jackson Dart, all ahead of Trevor Lawrence. So likely Trevor Lawrence is a sit for you unless you're like talking about like Aaron Rodgers or Trevor Lawrence. I'm probably going to go Trevor Lawrence over Aaron Rodgers. BTJ, yes, absolutely. Just go ahead and sit him in your lineup. Same thing with Travis Etienne. Yes, this is a super hard matchup for him this week. But I would still, you're probably going to have to start him. Again, this is that conversation we had last week where if you're in an 8 to 10 team league, you might be able to pivot and sit Travis Etienne down this week. But if you're in a 12 team or greater league, you got to play Travis Etienne specifically for, how much usage he's getting to, 62% of the snap count. That's really what you're looking for in a running back. He's getting the work. He just didn't have a great week. Hopefully we bounce back from that this week. The only other wide receiver to kind of keep on your radar, I don't think Tim Patrick or Parker Washington are worth even rostering. If you have them, you can drop them and pick up other guys. The only guy to kind of consider is Travis Hunter. He could potentially have a good week this week. They might need to get that passing game going more. They might struggle quite a bit in the run game. It would be incredibly spicy and incredibly risky to make that decision, but it's someone just to keep on your radar if you are really fucking desperate. No tight end relevance there for Jacksonville either. And then when I look at the Jags defense, I do think they are a decent streaming option. They've looked really, really good. Now, do I love them against Matt Stafford and the Rams? Not particularly, but if you're looking for a flyer on defense, they could be a flyer for this week.
They could be. All right, moving into New Orleans and Chicago. On the New Orleans side, we are sitting Spencer Rattler. Really nothing to talk about there. Chris Olave is a automatic start. Got to send it for him. He is locked in. Rashid Shaheed is someone to kind of talk about. He has talent. You could consider him in a deep flex if you need a big upside player. But again, he is a risky player. I would go over guys like Josh Downs over Rashid Shaheed. I would probably go Shaheed over guys like Cooper Kupp, though. Shaheed over guys like Alec Iomanner. So my opinion's there.
Even if Calvin Ridley's out this week?
I just haven't. Maybe it's because I have him and I'm like, you need to do more, buddy. But I could see if Calvin Ridley is out, that just changed my opinion just a little bit. So maybe Iron Man or over Shaheed. So keep an eye on that. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Running back Alvin Kamara. It's a good matchup for Kamara this week. He's a start, especially in PPR leagues. Volume, versatility. Kendry Miller, I'm kind of not looking at him for this week at all. We said it before, but he's kind of that break glass in case of emergency player. If you really, really need somebody, sit until the workload increases. I'm starting guys over Chase Brown, David Montgomery, Tony Pollard, over Kendry Miller. And then Juwan Johnson is sit. He is probably droppable at this point. So if you were still hot on Juwan Johnson, you need to kind of cool down from him. Go find a better streaming tight end, like someone like Chig Okawakawuka. How do you say it?
Okinawa? I don't know.
There we go. Okay. And then even guys like AJ Barner are a better option for this week. In the defense, their overall run defense is near the bottom of the league, so I am not starting the Saints defense at all. So not even thinking about that. On the Chicago side, Caleb Williams is a definite start. He has a good matchup with the defense that allows a high number of fantasy football to quarterbacks. He's just a consistent start over guys like Kyler Murray, who I think we already mentioned is out or will be out for week 6, 7. Anyways, I don't even know what week it is. And Justin Fields. Rome Odunze is a start. He's a must start. He had a down week, but don't let that discourage you. And DJ Moore is out with that head injury.
Yeah.
So he becomes even more relevant here. So DJ Moore is irrelevant. So that brings in the Luther Burden conversation just a little bit more. He could step up to the plate. We saw him do that in maybe week 2, week 3. I kind of forget what week he was he kind of popped off on that week. He might be a good flex option with, Caleb getting the ball down to him with the absence of DJ Moore. DeAndre Swift, we're going to start him. He's been good. He's been a reliable piece of their offense. The Bears should lean on him heavily on this run attack against the weak Saints. Nothing really relevant in the tight end game here for Chicago. And for the defense, I would probably not trust the defense against a rusher like Kamara. They did stop Bill in week 6, so showed a little bit of a good thing there, but I wouldn't start the Chicago defense.
No, I agree. And it was Luther Burden was week 3 against Dallas when he had his high production week. I mean, only 3 targets, 3 receptions, but 101 yards and a tutty. So that's why he ended up pulling in 19.8 points. I think Luther too, just to add a little dialogue there, is more of a keep an eye on him type of guy. I wouldn't be starting him in week 7, but he could be a guy that maybe you stash and then just if that production increases, and then we can feel very confident in him.
And
so I agree.
Chicago's already been on their bye, so they are not touched by bi-pocalypse week 8.
Correct. No bi-pocalypse issues for you.
Him.
So again, a little free agency action, maybe Luther Burden. Keep an eye out for it. All right, moving on to Miami versus Cleveland. Tua Tagovailoa is just a hard no for me. Hard matchup. He's throwing picks left and right, and he's probably going to throw some picks to the Cleveland's defense, who looks good. Drake May, Dak Prescott, Caleb Williams, Bo Nix, Jordan Love, Daniel Jones, Matt Stafford, Jackson Dart, all before him, okay? I would even say play fucking Aaron Rodgers over Tua Tagovailoa in this week. So, that's how much I'm telling you not to play Tua Tagovailoa. Cool. Awesome. Jalen Waddle, yes, start. He's getting a lot of targets and receptions. I like him. He didn't even need to score a touchdown last week, and he had 15.82 fantasy points in a full PPR league. That's a win. Malik Washington, no, don't even consider it. Devon Achane, absolutely every single week. Don't even question it. Same thing with Darren Waller auto start. You're not questioning it. You're not trying to sub out Darren Waller for another tight end, unless for some reason you have 2 elite tight ends like Waller and Kraft. And at that point, I have both. I'm flexing Darren Waller because he's going in my lineup. He's being used in that offense too much. Yeah. And I'm not risking it on a very, very unpredictable Miami defense. Oh, the Cleveland Browns. We don't even need to talk about Dylan Gabriel because he shouldn't be rostered, so don't worry about him. God, Jerry Jeudy, you have to start him because he got 13 targets. That's such a high target. However, homie cannot seem to fucking catch the goddamn football. He dropped so many but now you also have to keep in mind that Dylan Gabriel is putting him in a very difficult position. He's not throwing safe catchable footballs.
Right.
So sometimes he's throwing a ball where like Jerry Jeudy would get destroyed if he tried to catch that ball. So like there is that. So like you got to play Jerry Jeudy and just again kind of hold your breath and hope that they start to connect more. Isaiah Bond's not startable. I keep him and kind of wait and see unless you have to drop him. He is a droppable player as well. But if you have room on your roster to sit on him, you can. Quinshon Judkins, I know he let you down in week 6, but we don't give up on him. We play him week number 7. Miami's not great against the run. This is a good option for him. And again, their pass game sucks, so they're likely going to have to get Quinshon involved far more. They just threw the ball so much in week 6. They won't have to do that so much in week 7. Fannin, absolutely, yes. He is like my favorite tight end start of the week. Njoku most likely will be out. And so Fannin's great. Again, short pass game it was what Dylan Gabriel's going to thrive in. So Fannin's getting a good amount of targets and will continue. So he's an easy start. And I love the Cleveland defense against Tua Tagovailoa, baby.
Exactly. Moving into New England and Tennessee, Drake May is an auto start. I think he is becoming a really great, relevant quarterback. No brainer there. Moving into wide receivers, Stephon Diggs is a start. You know, you might have got burned by Stephon Diggs in week number 6. Don't worry about it. He's still a reliable guy. One of the things I wanted to mention was that if he hadn't had that 51-yard catch called back, it would have been a game changer, right? His whole fantasy outlook would have been completely different. Starting Stephon Diggs. Demario Douglas might be someone that you might think about as a flex start, but I probably wouldn't entertain that. Kayshon Boutte, someone to talk about a little bit more. He is a risky start. I'm leaning towards sit here. He's favorable in this matchup. They're weak against the wide receiver, but still a little bit risky. I would probably start guys like Jerry Jeudy over Kayshon Boutte, obviously, even though he's dropping the ball. But I'd go Boutte over Thornton. I'd go Boutte over Io Manor. But again, the Io Manor might change because of the possibility or the Calvin really most likely being out, right? So that might change my thoughts a little bit there. In the running back, I'm not really even going to talk about Travion Henderson. Unfortunately, we're sitting him. He's only getting 30% of the workload. Ramondre Stevenson, however, is a start here. So his matchup is pretty solid. He's due for a bounce back performance. I think this is the game he's going to do that in. Hunter Henry as a tight end, I'd probably look for someone else to play over Hunter Henry just because of the coverage here. Guys like Mason Taylor, like Amanda said, Harold Fannin, even Cade Otton are better options over Hunter Henry this week. And then I'm going to start the Patriots. I almost said Pittsburgh. Patriots defense here, I think they're pretty solid. Moving into Tennessee, we're sitting Cam Ward, not even going to talk about him. Calvin Ridley is likely to be out for a few weeks with that hamstring injury, so that does bump up Alec Iomanor a little bit in your options here. With Ridley out, he's going to be a bigger role, right? So if you're in a deeper league, you need a flex. I think he's a fine option, but I would probably be a little bit hesitant because the Pats secondary is just a little bit tougher on the wide receivers, right? In the running back position, Tony Pollard has a hard matchup this week. I would be tentative of playing him. I think we mentioned earlier, guys like Chase Brown over Pollard this week, Montgomery over Pollard, but I'd play guys over, or I'd play Walker over Pollard, but I'd play Pollard over guys like Chubb. There's a lot of names I just said there. Stevenson over Pollard. So Pollard's probably not the best start this week. He hasn't really been shining like we would have liked. I'm not even going to really mention Tajay Spears. I think he's becoming a little bit more relevant, but nothing really to pop in and drop Pollard and say he's the starter now. So maybe they're weaning him into the offense just a little bit from injury. And then the tight end, I think we don't know how to say his last name, Okinawa, is not a bad option.
I think it's
Okonkwo. That's how you say it. Okay. Good tight end option. If you're streaming tight ends, he's worth a look, especially with Ridley out. He's going to be getting more passes there, especially in the short yardage. Now, we had a little bit of a controversy here, right? Is this a good opinion? Is this not a good opinion? I think Mason Taylor is a better option than Chig. I think AJ Bonner is an option than Chig, but I would pick Chig over Dalton Schultz this week.
I would too.
As a more reliable starter. And then I am not going to start the Tennessee defense, not going to look their way.
Yeah, I agree. I think a good conversation here too is like, are you thinking T. Higgins or Alec Iomanor?
True. I would personally go Iomanor. I think with elimination of Ridley, I would plug Iomanor in there and sit T.
Okay. I might go T. Higgins over Iomanor. Yeah, I don't know. That's a hard one.
Flacco's looking at guys like Jamar Chase, more reliable. T. Higgins hasn't been as consistent. I think they're going to look at Chase Brown more. So I think T. Higgins is going out.
What about Wan'Dale Robinson versus Denver versus Iomanor?
Io Manor. Probably Io Manor here. Yep.
I agree. Yep. I think Wan'Dale's going to face a difficult time against Denver, so I agree. And then the New England Patriots offense, it's kind of like roulette right now. We don't know. You know, Stephon Diggs is going to be consistent. I'm probably going to start him, but like, is Booty or Pop Douglas going to get the more targets? Like, it's just basically a guessing game that's really fucking hard. That's why we say like, good luck. If you can guess it, good on you. But like, I don't want to try to guess it.
And it's the best when you get it all right. And you're like, oh, I told everybody the right stuff.
I know. All right. Las Vegas versus Kansas City. Yikes. Okay, cool. So like, don't even think about Geno Smith. In my opinion, at this point, Jacoby Myers has done absolutely fucking nothing. In my opinion, he's droppable at this point. Like Trey Tucker has done more than him consistently. And so if there's any wide receiver I would even think about starting, it would be Trey Tucker and it wouldn't be Jacoby Myers. Now, most of the offensive issues is a Geno Smith problem. He does not look good. He has thrown a pick every single week, sometimes multiple picks. He kept his streak alive at least last week, keeping the pick streak alive. So like, I don't really want to start anyone on that team except Ashton Genty. If I needed an emergency, again, break glass, Trey Tucker maybe, and hope to God he gets in the end zone. That's what you're praying on, is he gets in the end zone, right? But you're not touching Geno Smith with a 10-foot pole. And this is a really bad matchup for Michael Mayer. They did announce that Brock Bowers will be out week 7, or he likely will be out week 7 is the like rumblings. So I don't want to touch Michael Mayer this week. And I think there's better streaming options. Someone like we just mentioned, Fannin, Otten. Both would be guys I would start above Michael Mayer this week because it's just a very difficult tight end matchup for him with Kansas City's defense good against the tight end. So really not a ton to talk about on the Raiders side of the football there. So Patrick Mahomes, good God, yes. He's like the number 4 quarterback right now. He's locked in. He looks freaking fantastic. Hollywood Brown essentially is going to become irrelevant. Welcome back to the NFL, Rashee Rice. He's finally back from suspension. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about wide receivers here because in my opinion, Hollywood Brown's irrelevant. He could potentially be someone that if you need room on your roster, you could go ahead and drop. There will be a week Hollywood Brown does well. You're never going to be able to guess which one it is. So you're never going to feel comfortable starting him. However, an Xavier Worthy still remains relevant. He is more of that like he is more of the deep threat guy. Rashee Rice is more of that short pass guy. So even you shouldn't have Juju Smith-Schuster rostered, but if you do, like he's irrelevant now too. And typically I don't love starting a wide receiver or any player back after a suspension. However, Kansas City is the team who is just going to immediately throw him into the lineup, okay? Yeah. Patrick Mahomes been biting at the bit to get a wide receiver back, I'm sure. And like he's going to Kermit. Did you hear the announcer make fun of his Kermit the Frog? Because he was like, he's in interviews talking like Kermit the Frog. Yeah, it's so funny.
Was it that same guy that was unhinged in the New York game?
No, Chris Collinsworth was giving him some. But anyways, Kermit is going to really be excited for Rashee Rice. And so Rashee Rice, I start him. You go ahead. Throw him in your lineup with all the hurt wide receivers. It's a good one. You were
waiting for him. Here he comes.
Yep. Go for it. So Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy are fine. Hollywood Brown, no, though. Isaiah Pacheco, I mean, I don't want to. He saw more snap count this week, but it's because one of them, I don't know if it was Bashard Smith or Kareem Hunt, had like a personal issue and they missed a good amount of practice. So they didn't get a lot of work that week. So like that's the only reason you saw an elevated workload from Pacheco. I am going to seek not to start him unless you need him. I would go Stevenson over Pacheco, Jordan Mason, Chase Brown, Kamani Vidal, DeAndre Swift, all ahead of Isaiah Pacheco. And I wouldn't start him unless I absolutely freaking had to. I'm not starting any of the other running backs. Bashard Smith, Smith, or Kareem Hunt. I'm sitting both of them, and Travis Kelce is a fine start, and I will keep playing him until proven otherwise. Oh, sure. And the defense, absolutely. Yeah, if they're not, they're probably already rostered, but if they're not rostered, absolutely go there, throw them in.
Grab them. Moving into Philadelphia, Minnesota. I'm going to go through Philadelphia pretty quick because there's some auto starts here. Jalen Hurts, auto start. AJ Brown, even though we've been a little nervous about him, he is an auto start, right? Devontae Smith is someone you can talk about just a little bit. I would go Smith over guys like Wan'Dale Robinson, but I would also go guys like Courtland Sutton over Devontae Smith, right? Just a little bit weak there. We're not really sure what his production is going to be week in and week out. So I would, tread lightly with Devonta Smith, right? We could see big games, like Amanda said in the past. We've seen guys shine and then guys fall back. Saquon Barkley, I know we were a little disappointed in week 6. He is still an auto start. Dallas Goedert, auto start here as well. defense auto start. So just a really strong Philadelphia offense there. Moving into Minnesota, they are coming off that bye week. We're still kind of looking, is JJ McCarthy going to be back for week number 7? Are we still going to have Carson Wentz? I would say I probably would sit both of them. Would most definitely sit both of them. I wouldn't think about them. I would think about JJ McCarthy maybe later on in the season, but not right now. Justin Jefferson is an auto start. Jordan Mason, I'm also going to start. The Eagles defense is strong, but they've occasionally allowed some runs. So I see kind of his shot there. He's going to shoot a shot. He's going to go for a shot. TJ Hawkins is a sit unless you are desperate. There are better options out there. He's more back of a fallback option if you are really desperate and you do not have anybody. And then I'm going to sit the Minnesota defense this week just because the offensive unit for the Eagles is so strong.
Absolutely. I love it. Okay. I got Carolina Panthers versus the New York Jets. So let's talk about some easy starts here on the Carolina side of the football. Rico Dowdle. You're going to start Rico Dowdle this week. If for some reason Chuba is back, I still feel comfortable throwing Dowdle in. So I'm not overly worried. Now, that'll be interesting because, yes, he'll get less work because they've been using the living shit out of him, which is insane. But I still feel comfortable getting Rico involved in the lineup. Bryce Young really wouldn't be a quarterback start unless, again, desperate times call for desperate measures. I'm starting Jackson Dart, Stafford, Herbert, Williams, Bo Nix, all above Bryce Young. I think the interesting conversation would be, do you go Bryce Young or Aaron Rodgers? I might slightly preference Rodgers over Young simply because of Young's matchup this week. The Jets are good. They're going to lock down Ted McMillan, who is their true wide receiver 1. Unless he can get to the ball to the other guys on the team, this could be a challenging week for Bryce Young. Ted McMillan, to me, your roster probably forces you to start him, but I don't love it. We watched what, Sauce did to Pickens and then to Sutton. Sutton struggled really bad this week, not only because of quarterback struggles, but also because he was being shut down to be able to catch the ball. So I do not love Ted McMillan this week. I obviously like DK, AJ Brown, Dubs, Olave are all guys I would start over Ted. So if there is availability in your roster to sit him down, even if you needed to flex a Rico Dowdle over Ted McMillan and put him in your flex spot, that's a valid option that I would absolutely go with. The run defense or the run offense is their offense right now. So it's working really well. They're going to keep doing that. Same thing with the tight end position. Obviously, Jatavian Sanders might be coming back this week. We aren't sure. He got hurt. And I think week 5 or 4 or 5, I don't remember. But he might be coming back. Sanders could be a sneaky good play. So could Tremble. If Sanders is not back, Tremble could potentially be a good play. I'm not eager to do that because I think Otton, Fannin, Ertz, Ingram are all starts over Tommy Tremble or Sanders. But if you needed a TJ Hawkinson or Sanders and you wanted a potential higher upside with Ted McMillan potentially being locked down, that could be a good pivot. The Titans defense, maybe a consideration against a struggling Jets offense, but I think there's better options out there. New York Jets, you sit Justin Fields. I think Justin Fields is one more game away from just being benched altogether. So I don't want to risk it on him. Wide receiver Garrett Wilson hurt, so just keep your eye on him. I don't know what's going to happen there. I wouldn't just trust Josh Reynolds. He is the other wide receiver. We watched basically Wilson go out and Justin Fields' entire productivity of a quarterback diminish. So I don't trust any of the wide receivers. I do trust Breece Hall though. Go ahead and get him started in the lineup. And I like Mason Taylor this week. If you picked up Mason Taylor in waivers in week 6, it wasn't to play him week 6, okay? Because no, he didn't do good. But he has a really favorable week 7 and 8 matchup. So I love him as a tight end option to have in your lineup 2 weeks in a row, back to back, and then we can decide from there. The Jets is a solid streaming option against the Panthers. I think they'll struggle this week offensively.
All right. And then moving into Giants versus Denver. So Jackson Dart has a lot of bit of a tough matchup in Denver. So we are going to sit him this week. Wan'Dale Robinson is a risky ass start. So I'd kind of call him that boomer bust kind of option. Now he is one of those clear options for Jackson Dart. So you could kind of see that as an upside, but I'm going to sit Wan'Dale Robinson. I think there's guys to start over him. We've talked about some of those guys. Cam Scatterboo is an automatic start. You can't stop that beast bulldog bowling ball, like Amanda likes to call him, right? Until we see Scatterboo injured. We see Scatterboo just straight up get struggle bus city, which I don't think he can possibly get hurt. I think he hurts himself to not get hurt, in my opinion. I think Tyrone Tracy is just kind of irrelevant in the Cam Scadaboo game here. Theo Johnson at tight end has a hard matchup. I'd pass. I'd go guys like Cade Otton over Theo Johnson, Kelsey, Ingram, Mason Taylor, all over Theo this week. And then as far as the defense goes, against the Denver, I probably would think about the Giants defense, just because maybe the offense isn't as strong for the Denver Broncos, but I'd probably not use them as my streaming start or a start this week. And then moving into Denver, Bo Nix would be a QB2 start or a high-end streamer. I think he's definitely a possibility there. So moving into wide receiver, Cortland Sutton, I would say would be a flex option. He's kind of has a little bit of a risky choice there for you. The defense has been a little bit weaker on wide receivers, the Giants defense, so he might be a little bit of a better option. While Nix's low passing volume is a concern, I think he remains his top receiving threat. So I put him in a flex position if I needed to. Troy Franklin is a sit unless you're really in a deep league and you're in need of a wide receiver. J.K. Dobbins is a solid start, solid running back too. Giants run defense is one of the worst in the entire league. So I think he will thrive in this particular matchup. RJ Harvey, sit, might consider him a flex option if you really need a running back, if yours is down, if yours is out, if yours is injured, like all of mine seem to be. Then you might see him as in this good matchup be a little bit more relevant. And Evan Ingram, I'd say is also a risky start. I'd start guys over Evan Ingram like Mason Taylor, maybe even Kyle Pitts over Ingram this week. So, and then the defense in the Denver defense is a start. You got to start the Denver defense.
Agreed. All right, Indianapolis Colts versus the Chargers. So on the Colts side of the football, this is an interesting conversation because this is a hard matchup for them. So this is a difficult matchup for Daniel Jones. However, I do still think you probably need to go Jones because you are going to play Jones over Fields. I would play Daniel Jones over Bo Nix. I would play Daniel Jones over Trevor Lawrence. However, I would play guys like Herbert, Dak, Daniel, Jaden Daniels, Matt Stafford, all over Jones. I'd play Jared Goff over Jones. I would play Caleb Williams over Jones, Jordan Love over Jones. So if you have some of those names, those are guys I would start before Jones. But if you're dealing with Fields or Bo Nix or Trevor Lawrence, then Daniel Jones would take my preference over those guys this week. I am going to pass on Josh Downs. I know he had a good week this week. He was able to get into the end zone. This is a particularly hard matchup for the passing game. So he's not someone I'm super duper eager to start this week. So I would sit down Josh Jones, blah, 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 blah. I would sit down Josh Downs. However, Michael Pittman, it's a hard matchup. Again, this is a risky start. However, most of you are going to have to play him. Again, there are a lot of injuries, and this is probably your highest upside potential as opposed to some other guys. However, I would consider playing like Romeo Doubs, Devontae Smith over Michael Pittman this week. I would, however, play Michael Pittman over Jameson Williams. I would play Michael Pittman over Wan'Dale Robinson and over Matthew Golden. So just some names to keep in mind. He's kind of one of those like sit, start on the edge type of guys that you have to consider your other options before just throwing him to your lineup. Sitting down Alec Pierce, I'm absolutely always playing Jonathan Taylor and Tyler Warren. We don't even need to talk about those guys. They're just go in your lineup. Okay, cool. I would pass on the Indianapolis defense this week also. So over onto the Charger side of the football, there's some easy guys. Lad McConkey, he's that guy again. Welcome back, little lad. You are doing great again, and we love to see it. So he absolutely gets locked into your lineup. Justin Herbert, I think he's a solid streaming option. Indy is better against the run than the pass. So I think this will bode well for Justin Herbert and Lad McConkey. Keenan Allen has been slowly slipping off a side of a cliff, and then maybe it's just old man Keenan Allen showing himself that he's fucking old, okay? To me, Keenan Allen is a sit option at this point. He's not someone I'm excited to start. QJ, Quentin Johnston, we are kind of just waiting to figure out, like, is he going to be back for week 7 or not? If he's back for week 7, I don't think he's a terrible start. I think you can go ahead and throw him into your lineup. So Kamani Vidal versus Hassan Haskins. Obviously, this is a matchup that, like, everyone said Hassan Haskins was going to be that guy. Like, they even came out and said he's going to lead the back and started him, picked him up, like, unfortunately. But, like, so many people did. Like, there's nothing on you guys. But Kamani Vidal was the guy, and likely is probably going to be that guy. He looked good. He saw 67% of the snap count. Obviously, he got a passing touchdown, so PPR-wise, he scored a lot of points. I would preference Vidal over Haskins this week, and I think he's a decent start. Just this is going to be a harder matchup for him. India is pretty good against the run, so just something taper your expectations.
How many snaps did he get?
67% of the snap count.
How many?
6, 7. 6, 7. I had to hear that experience so many times.
What my everyday life is this weekend.
I hate the youth. They're so weird. Anyways, moving on to tight end. Ooh, Gadsden. We're just going to say Gadsden because I don't know how to say his fucking first name.
That's also
good for you though, buddy.
One, yeah.
He had a good week, but I just don't think this is someone I'm looking to start. I'm looking Barner, Ingram, Hawkinson, Ertz, Mason Taylor. I don't know why I was looking at those as two separate names in my brain. Mason and Taylor, but it's one name. Mason Taylor over Gadsden in my opinion. And then I also wouldn't be interested in starting the Chargers defense this week. Just not someone that I'm going to throw in my lineup as a streaming option.
All right. Washington, Dallas is my next matchup here. On the Washington side, Jane Daniels is a must start, no questions asked. Deebo Samuel, you think about just a little bit here. If he is fully healthy and active, yes, you are starting him, but he had a little bit of dip in production because I think he was still recovering. If I'm looking at a guy like Rashee Rice, who, yes, is coming back, week number 1, I'm still starting him over guys like Deebo, in my opinion.
Agreed.
Other wide receivers, someone I might look out for if you really need someone, because Terry McLaurin is likely out again or will be out again, is Luke McCaffrey. He was really only relevant because of a touchdown in week number 6, but I think he's someone you might want to keep up on in free agency. I maybe wouldn't waste a waiver wire pick on him. He might still be there for you after the fact. So something to keep in mind. JCM or Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, it's easier when I just abbreviate it, or Bill, whatever you want to call him. I think he is a start against this weak Dallas unit as well. And then Zach Ertz could be a streaming option for sure. Dallas struggles against the tight end position. He's reliable. Yes, he goose-egged you, but he came back. He said, sorry, guys, here's 16 points to help you out. And then I'm sitting the Commanders off or defense because of a very strong Dallas offense. So it's a whole lot to keep in mind. On the Dallas side, you are starting Dak Prescott. You are starting George Pickens. CD Lamb may be back, but Amanda said it earlier. George Pickens is still extremely relevant. You are not forgetting about Pickens. And then Javonte Williams, you are still starting. Yes, he had that down week, but Miles Sanders is out. So he is the very for sure top back. And then that brings in that Jaden Blue discussion just a little bit. Now, I know some people in our league have dropped Jaden Blue, right? He was not really being productive. He was injured for a little bit, but he has elevated now to that RB2 role on the Dallas offense. So keep him in mind. Stash him if you need him. Bi-pocalypse might come. You might need a running back. Here we go. Jake Ferguson is also an automatic start for me. And I am not going to start the Dallas defense at all. So I'm going to forget about them.
Agreed. They're letting up so many points. That should be a fun high point scoring game, which is always great for fantasy relevance, right?
Yeah.
We love it. All right, Green Bay versus Arizona. Jordan Love, absolutely go ahead and start him. Romeo Doubs is a guy I start and trust as well. He's really the only wide receiver on that offense that I'm going to feel good about. I'm not going to be starting Matthew Golden. Again, like you're never probably going to predict when he has a really, really good week. So I would start guys over like Wanda Robinson, Jordan Addison, Kendrick Bourne. If one of the other wide receivers are out, Pittman would all come before Golden. Josh Jacobs, yep. Tucker Kraft, yep. And then yes to the Green Bay defense as well against, Kyler probably isn't going to play. So Jacoby Brissett, yeah, you can go ahead and throw in the Green Bay defense against him or that team as well. Quarterback wise, really no quarterback conversation for Arizona. Even if Kyler was playing, I wouldn't play him. Marvin Harrison, you're going to have to check injury updates. I assume he'll be out past the bye in my opinion. I don't really want any point of the wide receiver room. The only guy I would maybe consider as a very, 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 I'll say it again, very risky start is Zay Jones. They're going to need some type of wide receiver to target. I mean, alongside of Trey McBride, because Trey McBride is going to act as a faux wide receiver. So like maybe Zay Jones, but again, like I'm only doing that if I'm desperate. And please understand that could work out very, very poorly for you. It's a huge fucking risk. Bam Knight, Michael Carter, they're basically in a 50-50 split for the running back room. It was interesting. They said, hey, Bam's going to end up being the starter. And then first play of the game, Michael Carter came out and played. It was very freaking confusing. I just want you guys to know that like the Green Bay defense shuts down all of the run. So like they have shut down the run on every single team they've played. So like this is a really shitty matchup for Bam Knight and Michael Carter. So if you have to play them because it's the best option that you have, okay. Because like I'm still probably going to try to throw Bam or Michael in over like a RB2 of Kenneth Gainwell because these guys are in leading the backfield. It's just probably going to be a bad week for the running back room. Trey McBride, yes, always start him. And then I think there's better options than the Arizona Cardinals defense.
Very much agreed. All right, we're moving into Atlanta versus the San Francisco 49ers, who just cannot catch a poor break, that team. But the Atlanta Falcons, quarterback Michael Penix sitting, no questions. Then there's some very serious auto starts. Drake London, beast mode this Monday night. Bijan Robinson, beast mode, start. Kyle Pitts, for me, is a sit here. 49ers have been solid defensively against tight ends, so I would look for guys like Ertz over Pitts, even Hunter Henry, in my opinion, over Kyle Pitts this week. As far as the Atlanta defense goes, I am not looking at the Atlanta defense this week. 49ers side, Mac Jones and Brock Purdy, we're still kind of seeing who is going to be the starter there. I would probably sit both of them. Depending on who's the starter, I'm not going to sit. Now, Brock Purdy, I think, is a better option here. He's maybe a little bit more reliable, a little bit more efficient, but we don't know, again, if he's going to be back in week number 7. We're still waiting to hear there. There are safer options than Mac Jones for you out there if he is the starter. Kendrick Bourne is only relevant if Juwan Jennings, I get that mixed up all of the time, and Ricky Pearsall are not back in week number 7. So his value really depends on if they're healthy. So if Juwan or Pearsall are both active, his target share dips. You're not thinking about him. The opposite is also true. So he is becoming more relevant if one of them or both of them are absent from week number 7. So keep an eye on that. Christian McCaffrey, auto start. Jake Tonges. We need to move on from Tonges. Tonges hype is kind of gone because the man, the myth, the legend, George Kittle, is back in week number 7.
Yay!
And he becomes very irrelevant. Kittle will step up. I think he's going to be on beast mode right when he returns. And then 49ers defense, might think about streaming them this week, possibly, but not really too hot on the 49ers defense this week either. I think there's better streaming options out there. And Fred Warner getting hurt is just disappointing in nature.
Yes. I will say the only thing to keep in mind is we just watched, while I wouldn't stream the Falcons defense, I would keep our eye on the difficulty that the 49ers will face, because we just saw Josh Allen struggle against the Falcons defense. So the Falcons D is kind of the real deal. And so not that I'm already looking to start them or put them in my lineup, but I could potentially see a difficult time for Brock and or Mac Jones, whoever ends up playing, for sure.
Yeah. Right.
Absolutely. All right. Moving over to I think this is my final matchup. Yes. Oh, yes. And it's a good one. Tampa Bay versus the Detroit Lions. Fun versus fun, baby. All right. Baker, and I literally put in my notes, Baker, man, bake me a cake as fast as you can, baby. That man is just doing the Lord's work right now. Throw him in your lineup. There's been so much mummer of is he hurt? He don't fucking care. Baker's going to have a broken severed arm and be like, we're good, guys. I'll throw it with my left hand. We'll be all right. All right. Now, this is, again, wide receiver roulette. You are betting on a number and hoping your number hits and you get paid big. What wide receiver is going to step in? Number 1, is Mike Evans going to come back? We don't fucking know. Is Emeka going to miss time? We don't know. Probably, though. Nonetheless, if for some reason Mike Evans out and Emeka Buka's out, you are just betting on which one of these guys ends up getting the most attention. So we have Cameron Johnson, we have Tez Johnson, sweet little Tez Johnson himself, and we have Sterling Shepard. These are our 3 wide receivers we're talking about. If I had to make a bet on one of them, I would put my, roulette chip on Tez Johnson. That would be who I go with for no explained reasons other than that's my fucking opinion. Cool? Cool. You can disagree with me, but that's who I would bet on. But if you want to take a shot on a guy, you can. But again, you're going to be holding your breath and hoping the whole time. Baker Mayfield makes it happen, but we don't know who he's going to make it happen with, right? Rashad White, yes. Bucky's already out. Sean Tucker, yes, he's getting more work. I'm still not interested in starting him, though. K. Dalton, yeah. Again, Godwin out. Bucky out. Evans, I don't know. Abuka, I don't know. We love K. Dalton. They're going to increase his role, so he's a great tight end start this week. And I'm not looking at starting the Tampa Bay defense against a very good Lions offense. So moving over to the Lions, Jared Goff is a great streaming quarterback this week. I would go Goff over Herbert, Bo Nix, Caleb Williams, Justin Fields, and Daniel Jones. Goff would take ownership over all of those guys. Jamison Williams is very much that risky start, boomer bust type of guy. He had a very great week this past week. I will say, if you are the manager of Jamison Williams and you don't want to trust him, that would be a good week to move him. So it's a good sell week for that player. You could throw him on the trade block and see what happens and see if people want some interest in him. That's an option. I do like if I'm looking at, I like Jamison Williams over guys like Matthew Golden. I like Jamison Williams over Keenan Allen. And again, that's just for the simple fact of this is a good matchup for Jamison Williams. They're not great against the wide receiver. However, very boomer bust. Amon-Ra St. Brown is a tried and true start for you as a wide receiver. Gibbs is a start. David Montgomery is a fine start as well. I would go David Montgomery over Chase Brown, Monty over Jordan Mason, Monty over Pollard, Monty over Stevenson over Pacheco. So like Monty, you can rely on him. And obviously Gibbs as well. And then Sam Laporta. Yes, this is another very good match. It wasn't a good matchup for him last week and he thrived. This is a good matchup for Sam Laporta. So I go ahead and throw him in. And I'm not overly excited about the Lions defense. Again, we're going up against a very good Baker. And so they're going to put up big points. I'm not super interested in the Lions defense this week either.
Okay. And then my last matchup is Houston versus Seattle. Houston's coming off of a bye week, so they should be rested and ready to go. CJ Stroud had a really great week number 5. I think he's an option in 2 quarterback leagues. He might be the quarterback you need for this week. So viable starter, especially against Seattle's pass defense that isn't very elite. Nico Collins is a start for you. Nick Chubb is also a start. He's likely to be involved even more, particularly in rushing downs. And then I think Woody Marks is a guy that you could also start this week. I know we were really high on Woody Marks, and he fell off the block a little bit, but I think he's going to come back here in week number 7. He's offering that pass catching upside. So definitely someone that I would look at. Use Chubb as obviously your running back 1, but Marks is a strong flex option if you need somebody. And then Dalton Schultz is a start. Continue to see the red zone possessions. I think he's a good target for CJ Stroud as well. He's going to get those checkdowns in this matchup. He is a good start. And then the Houston defense, I am probably going to, against Seattle, I don't know. That one was a little bit iffy for me. Am I going to start him? Am I going to sit him? It kind of is that one of those back and forth where you might just shoot your shot, take a shot. They might thrive, or you might be a little bit more hesitant on them. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, the Texans are a really good defense. So they're the number 1 rated defense against the quarterback position. So Sam Darnold's got weapons. He's got Kenneth Walker, which, I know he's looked sketchy, but he is a weapon. He's got JSN. So I don't know. And Sam Darnold's been playing really, really good. Like, I can't believe Sam Darnold's still available. Like, he's playing very, very well. I agree. I think it's a very big toss up. If you want to shoot your shot on the Texans, they don't look bad, but it's just not the most quote unquote reliable option either.
Exactly. And then finishing off here with Seattle, Sam Darnold, like Amanda said, is still extremely, extremely relevant here, right? If you need a streaming quarterback, he's someone that you can most definitely look for, has upside. He is in a tougher matchup here, but I think that he's still going to thrive. And so temper your expectations, but don't sleep on Sam Darnold. JSN, automatic start. Cooper Kupp is definitely a flex option in this decent matchup. He is kind of has some upside where defenses look elsewhere. So they're going to be looking at JSN. Maybe Cooper Kupp's a little bit more open here in this matchup. Kenneth Walker, I would start him. He's coming off of a hard matchup last week, but you're not really probably in a position where you can sit him. He has had that shaky last game, but the Texans can defend the run, but I think I would still trust in Kenneth Walker. I'd start Walker kind of in most formats, right? You probably, like I said, don't have the ability to sit him, okay? Zach Charbonnet, you were sitting. AJ Barner, you're probably looking at if you need a streaming option, if you're in a weak tight end situation. If you don't have a better tight end, he is usable. I would say that he's better over guys like, we said some guys earlier, and now I can't remember them.
I think the only guys I'm going to go Barner over is Theo Johnson.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe him. I think Mason Taylor's matchup's too good to ignore.
That's what I was thinking, but I
maybe Barner over Hawkinson if you're want more upside and you're just sick and tired of wasting your time on Hawkinson.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree.
And then I would be starting the Seattle defense this week.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah. I agree. I think the Seattle defense is solid. They've looked great and have been consistently performing. So I would agree with that as well. All right, friends. Well, that is all of our matches. We know there are 2 bye weeks this week. We have the Baltimore Ravens, who need a bye week more than anybody to hopefully get fucking healthy. And same thing with the Buffalo Bills. They need a bye week just to collect themselves and also all get back to health, because we saw Josh Allen kind of get beat up in that game, maybe wrist, arm, shoulder shit happening. So hopefully they get healed and ready to go. Keep in mind that Rams versus Jacksonville is an international game, meaning that will start bright and early Sunday morning. So make sure your lineups are set. All the guys who play earlier on Thursday night and on your early Sunday morning games should be placed in their actual positional spots, aka wide receiver, running back, and running back. That way, your flex options, you have pivots in case somebody goes out unexpected later on Sunday. So the logistics that you need. Let's get into a wrap up of our sweet and spicy starts of the week. And kick us off with your sweet start of the week, my friend.
My sweet start of the week is Cade Otton. With the perspective, Emeka Egbuka being out of the game, Mike Evans possibly not also being back, Otton really steps into Baker's go-to guy. I think he's going to be a great target for Baker Mayfield. So, Cade Otton, sweet start of the week.
Sweet start of the week. I love it. Well, my sweet start of the week, unfortunately, because I'm not a big Kansas City fan, okay? But Rashee Rice is my sweet start of the week. As much as I hate to start a guy immediately after a suspension like Rashee Rice, he's not coming off of an injury suspension. He's coming off of a disciplinary suspension, which he very much fucking deserves. Let's be very fucking clear about that. Nonetheless, he is a sweet start because I think he's going to immediately find a role in that offense. And they're cruising right now. They're going to want to keep cruising. So you can go ahead and make a sweet start for Rashee Rice. How about your spicy start of the week?
My spicy start, and I kind of already mentioned it, but is Woody Marks. So that dud in week 5 kind of put a sour taste in everybody's mouth. Week 7 is his time to shine. So they're going to face a tough Seattle defense and they're going to lean toward, I think, Woody Marks just a little bit more on that passing game. They're also going to have the relevance of Nick Chubb to kind of break those tackles, but Woody Marks is going to see some good action in week number 7. You heard it here.
You heard it here first.
Spicy.
All right.
Shoot your shot with the spicy.
Spicy. All right. My spicy start of the week is either Jordan Whittington and or Tutu Atwell based on who plays. If Tutu's out, then we could go Jordan Whittington. If Jordan Whittington is, or if Tutu's in, then I would go Tutu. So Tutu plays, I play Tutu.
She covered her butt. She covered her butt. So if one's out, I'm contextual. No, I'm getting.
Yeah, this is the nature of fantasy football, contextual, my friend. So if Tutu does end up playing, then I go Tutu Atwell. But if Tutu's out, then I would play Jordan Addison or Jordan Whittington. And yes, it's very fucking risky, but they're gonna need to get some more offense going. So one of those guys would be my very, very spicy, high on the, what's it called? Decibels. It's not decibels.
On the spice meter.
No. What's that
I don't know
what
that's called.
I know the.
Heat index?
Heat index. Yeah, sure. It's called something.
Heat index peppers? I'm going to look that up.
Scoville
heat unit.
Scoville heat unit. It is high on the Scoville scale heat unit of spicy starts. But that is all we got, my friends. As always, like we always say, number one, thank you for the weekly support. We appreciate you guys more than you know. If you're not already, you follow us on social media. Let's Talk Football Sis, Facebook. We don't have a Facebook. TikTok, Instagram. Follow us there. We post weekly on YouTube as well. So you can catch our videos there. If you are listening to us on Spotify or Apple Music, you can see our beautiful faces on YouTube as well. And if you're not already in the Patreon, you can join the Patreon below. I am going live in the Patreon on Tuesdays moving forward to talk waiver wire chats. So if you're not in there, you should be in there so you can catch a little bit of live time to talk about waiver wire pickups as we get deeper into seasons, which you will need when the bi-pocalypse is upon us, my friends. All right, guys, have a badass week 7, and we hope for no injuries. We're sending the good vibes, right? Talk to you guys soon.
See ya.
Played Hassan Haskin.
Oh, God. Don't remind me.
Wah. I know, I looked and I was like, ooh, but they really did say, like, he would. Hold on. On the bright side, it looks like maybe some of the best graphics are not of us. So, like, I'm here for that.
Yeah, put more Derrick Henry on there, Andy.
Don't put my face like that.